This is TK Irish. Yeah, I'm at Kennerk Podcast once again. And I tell you what, this is the first of the year, and you just can't believe all the stuff that happens around here. Every time I think, man, it's going to be a quiet day or be a quiet week, someone comes knocking on the door, or someone wants to talk to me about this or talk to me about that, which I love. I love it every time they want to communicate with Douglas and I, and we have a lot of fun. So I did get this letter here the other day from a lady by the name of Susan in Houston, Texas. And let me read this here. It says, Dear TK, I have a question and I've never been able to get the answer for, and I was hoping maybe you could help me out. Over the years, I keep hearing this reference to an Irish seven-course dinner. Now, I've looked that up on Google, I've done all this research, but I can't find any definition of what that is. And I was wondering if you might be able to help me. Well, Susan, you came to the right place. Yes, this Irish seven-course dinner is a very infamous meal in itself. And I tell you, it's always good to have a couple of your friends there when you have this meal because it really makes things lively. The first thing you need to do is you need to get a baked potato and bake it the way you like it. Second of all, you get 6 pints of Guinness, and there's your seven-course dinner. So you can base yourself on how fast you eat the potato or how fast you want to drink your Guinness. But remember this, always be a member of the Clean Glass Club because we hate waste around here. So, Susan, I hope that sort of gave you a better idea about, what goes on in the world of Guinness. And this reminded me of a story I read recently. And here's what happens. Back in November of 1951, there's a group of guys been out hunting the county Wexford, which is in the southeast part of Ireland. And they go out in the field and they do their bird hunting and everything. They come back, have dinner, and they're talking over a pint, and an argument comes up. Well, I don't say an argument, a question. What is the fastest game bird there is? Some people said it was quail, some people said it was dove, some people said it was pheasants, but no one could ever figure out to agree on it. So life went on, but one of the gentlemen there was his name was Sir Hugh Beaver. And once he got back home to Dublin, he started thinking a little bit more about what is the fastest game bird. And he looked that up. We didn't have internet. We didn't have, we maybe had Encyclopedia Britannica at that time. So it just really puzzled him because it just got to him. It got to him. He was just, he looked at all the reference books and couldn't confirm or deny anything. And so he's sitting there and he goes, no, wait a minute. There's 81,400 pubs in Britain and Ireland. He's been in about half of them, and every time he's gone, there's always been some sort of dialogue or argument about this or what that comes about, but no one ever, finds the answer per se. So he had this little idea. He says, there has to be a way to figure this out. So he started doing research and doing research. And he worked for a brewery, actually. And so he went to his boss and said, here's what happened. I'm sure there's, other people would like to know these tidbits of information, but I need your permission to do some research on this. So he got the permission and he started doing research and this and that. And he published a little book, one big, it's just like a paperback. And he started handing it out to all the pub managers and barkeeps as a fact checker. So in case any arguments came up, they had a chance to answer the question. Well, it got very popular. It got very, very popular to the point where the patrons were stealing the book from the barkeeps. So he says, we're just going to have to take this to the next level. So in October 1955, the first book of the Guinness World Book of Records was published and put on for sale. And who did old Hugh work for? Guinness. So he created a promotion and an answer to all these questions that happened over the years. And Douglas, I was looking at this. I got a copy. I was looking through it, and I didn't see your name in any of the records. So, is this a was this an old copy? Because I know you're always trying to set records for one way or the other, but give it to me, buddy, because we got listeners all over the galaxy, and a lot of them in Ireland, so they want to know your claim to fame because you're Doug the neighbor.
PK, so good to see you. And thank you very much for that introduction. I'm sure that in some cases I'm in the Guinness Book of Records. Probably, I would say, because I'm the only person who got sent to the principal's office in the fifth grade because of the famous sauerkraut incident. Okay, but
Oh,
we'll go into that later. Now, another entry may be when I spent the night in the Dallas lockup, the drunk tank, on a Sunday night because of no dance license. Now, there's not
oh.
a lot of people who can connect those two records. I'm sure it's in the Guinness Book of Records. You're just going to have to look. The
Well, it's
sauerkraut incident and the no dance license.
Well, I'm sure that the Guinness people and all their researchers, it's like the Smithsonian. They don't put out all the things for everyone to see. They have stacks and stacks of warehouses full of these facts, and
Right.
they're just going to pull them out when they think it's necessary.
So the next edition of the Guinness Book of Records, but you see since now everything's online, the cloud, it might be up there.
Yes, yes. Well, and I just hope that they put it under Doug the neighbor and not your other name. That way,
Yes, like TK, it's so good to see you. I have my Dr. Pepper right here. You got yours right
I
there. You
got
got
it
a
right here, man. I tell you what, I was working up a thirst doing this research on Guinness. I must say, I admit I've had a couple of those seven-course dinners over the years. They are quite tasty.
but now at our age, it's a one and one potato and one drink, and go to bed by 8 o'clock.
Well, there's no rule saying you have to drink all 6 pints at the same time. All right. First of all, and maybe we need to put that in the Guinness World Book of Records of saying can be consumed at your own pace.
At your own pace, whatever pace that is. But well, first off, I got lots of little things for you. But first off, I want to say thank you for your brother being on our podcast as a happy camper yesterday, and we are in the process of posting that. But I really had an enjoyable time talking to your brother Steve. He's very, very funny, and his adventures in life, living up there in Wyoming, are really something. And
Yes, it is.
we encourage our listeners around the galaxy to look up that podcast. That would be podcast number 44, right?
Yes.
On season two, 44. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I wanted to let you know I really had a nice time with him. And more importantly, where we are in the year because of the Camp Kennerk podcast college football conference, and now we're into the Camp Kennerk uh, college playoff system, and we're down to the last four teams. And we've got tomorrow night on a Thursday night at 6:30 on ESPN. So that means that we get to see Holly Rowe. Hopefully, Holly, we have her fan club. Hopefully, but the game is tomorrow is Miami against Mississippi at 6:30 p.m. Austin time. That's the Thursday night game. And then on Friday night, it's the Indiana against Oregon, your team, Indiana Hoosiers, and Kevin the Magnificent Computer Dude's team, Oregon Ducks, and that's at 6:30 on Friday.
Yes. And I want to give a shout out to all the teams that made the final four games. You know, three of them were underdogs. And so
Yes.
I guess they forgot to read the newspapers to hear that. They were so focused of just going out there and they saying, "Oh, so that's the way you want to play. We can play this game. Come on, big boys, let's go. Let's put strap on our helmets and put on our cleats and see who gets up off the ground first."
You don't have to read to play football.
Well, no, but I was told that as a little kid, so that's the reason why I had to stay in school. I mean, I had to stay in
Yeah.
school to the seventh grade, as a matter of fact.
Oh, you went and made it that far. Oh, that's
Oh
good.
yeah, yeah. It was
Seventh grade was my best 3 years of my life.
we call that so you were part of the decade plan then.
The decade plan. That's about right. But listen, I got a little surprise for you here. And this is a segment that we call Perio Cooked Up What, because Perio, my neighbor, is a chef and he cooks up some various things. He has his own garden out there and he dropped by a nice jar of his own what bread and butter pickles, fresh
Um,
out of his garden, right here by
that's
Perio's in
well,
our segment of
that was
Perio
awful
Cooked Up
nice of him.
What.
He was one of
Right.
our first happy campers last year.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. So that's from Perio, and we certainly appreciate that. And we'll have to think of something little gift for him to say thank you to him. I'm considered his guinea pig, his tester when he has a job and he cooks up some. What do you think of this? And
Hmm.
I apply my rule of you cook, I eat.
The
So when
cardinal
you're
rule. It's not just
yeah.
the rule, it's the cardinal rule.
Yes, and it's always if you're cooking, it's great. If I'm cooking, it's Now, I got a little story for you. A buddy of mine calls up and he said he needed to take a Texas road trip. And so we went down to a place called Sinton, Texas, Sinton, Texas, to visit some people down there. And I think we've got a little video of because we stopped by the courthouse in Sinton, Texas. It's a very, very small town, but they have something of interest. Let's take a look at that video. TK, this is Doug the neighbor here. I am in Sinton, Texas, which is just outside of Corpus Christi, and I'm at the courthouse for a very special reason. In 1976, July 4th, the bicentennial, they buried a time capsule right here, and they are opening it July 4th of 2026 this year. No telling what's in here, and we're gonna have to come back and just go to the Sinton time capsule on July 4th, 2026. They buried it, bicentennial, July 4th, 1976. I'm Doug the neighbor.
Wow. Now that is going to be so cool. Think about that. All those years, all the things that have changed, what they deemed as important when they buried it, and what they thought would be important today. It's going to be very, very interesting. I have heard that even they have those type of capsules in outer space in satellites. So if any type of aliens ever got a hold of it, they would be able to explain to the aliens of what the Earth was about.
Well, okay, that's good if they speak English.
Well, supposedly they have it's in every possible language that they know to man right now. So,
Okay, well, if it's aliens out there, they wouldn't know our language or care about it, you know?
well, we'll just have to find out when they find it.
Will they call us? ET call home? And ET was pretty smart. He could make a bicycle fly
Man,
wrapped in
I
a
tell you.
towel
Yeah.
and waddled. Oh, he's a pretty smart guy, you know.
Yeah.
and he could run faster than those FBI agents. It was just a waddle. I could never figure that out in that section of the how he could run so fast than these guys.
That's the magic of Hollywood, Douglas.
Magic of Hollywood. Yes, yes. So that's what uh, that's what happened when I was in Sinton, Texas. And since it's 50 years since that time capsule was put in, there'll be other places around the country which will have ceremonies opening up
Mhm.
these situations. And maybe I'll go back down to Sinton and see what they got, and
Yeah.
see what
Where
happens.
else would you want to spend 4th of July?
Well, in 1976, we were both in Dallas, so I was working at the Randy Tar restaurant. Where were you working?
I was just moving down here.
Oh, in 76? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
I was just off the farm, you know. One of the biggest concerns I had moving down here is how I was going to park my tractor in a parallel parking spot.
Okay. All right. Okay. So I'm feeling pretty good. All right. But I got two stories for you. One bad one, and we're going to, because of that, we're going to create the Camp Kennerk corporate poopy head list. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Camp Kennerk poopy head corporate list. All right. Now,
Okay.
here's the story. You know that my bathroom had to be repaired. This house was built 400 years ago, so all of the framing under the toilet and under the tub through leaks and age was starting to rot and go away. And so finally, the whole flooring had to come out. And so the carpenter, we got a solid guy named Manny came on over. He looked at it. We tore up the ceramic tile that was on top of 4 layers of linoleum. And then there was the plywood, and then there was the framing. So over the subsequent years, all they did was put in more linoleum. Then finally put the ceramic tile in there. Over time, the wood, the rain, the water, whatever, rotted the whole thing out. And so the carpenter Manny, he says, okay, it's going to take about a week. And when he started pulling up everything and looking at the framing, because it's a pier and beam situation, looking at that wood, I said, oh, yeah, it's going to take a week. So I get on the Hilton Inn website, right, and say, okay, and they give me the number. And so I call the number. So I book a room for 1 week. And they asked me if I'd like to pay in advance. So sure, I'll pay in advance. No problem. It's going to be a week, and it's just up the road here. I think you stayed here when you were here last June at the
Yes,
end.
it's a very nice place.
Yeah,
Very
very
nice.
nice place. Yeah, yeah, very nice place. So I go on up there, and the first thing that happens is they charge me for parking. $20 to stay for parking inside of the hotel. Now, this is the second time this has happened because the Hilton Inn Embassy Suites down there in San Antonio in 1604, for years I was staying down there, no, didn't have to pay for the parking. Now all of a sudden you got to pay $20 a night for the parking. Wait a minute. You're charging me a fortune to stay here, $20, no, we're charging for the parking. So here's what happened, and here's where Hilton Inn. Now, I love the Hilton Inn because my first job in El Paso, Texas, was working as a lifeguard at the Hilton Inn Skyriders Pool Club as a lifeguard, 16 years old. So I'm a Hilton Inn kid. I love it. I love them. And I belong to their membership list and that sort of stuff, for points. I don't know what the points are. But anyway, so the carpenter works at this every day. I'd get up in the morning from the embassy and drive down here, take a look, spend my day here, and then about 5, 6 o'clock to beat Mopac traffic, drive back to the embassy, have dinner, watch some sports, go to sleep. The carpenter moved along quite nicely, did a really solid job, and I went to the hotel and said, "Well, I'm not going to stay." The full 7 days. I'm gonna check out early. Check out 2 days early. And they said, okay. And then I got the bill. Expedia does not give you refunds. You can go to their website, but it's a daisy chain of nonsense trying to get someone to answer your questions. There's no contact number. It's all robots, but blah 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 to the point where, okay, go here. Okay, go back here. Go back here. It was just frustrating. So I called up the front desk again from here, and they said, "Oh, Expedia is a third party payment system. You have to deal with them." I said, well, what about the parking? No, that's a third party payment system. You have to deal with them. So I'm putting Expedia and Hilton Inn on the Camp Kennerk corporate poopy head list for allowing Expedia to work this way. I had to pay for those nights I didn't stay there, parking, I didn't stay there. So we need to get the word out there to our listeners around the galaxy that this is the way they work. It's
Yeah.
just the way they work.
Well, I think it's one of those situations, Douglas, that you just need to take to your social platform, Facebook and all the other ones, and tell them what's going on. Because if I guarantee you that there's other people out there who've had the same experience, and you need to be the leader in this to say, Doug, the neighbor's not happy, and here's why.
Okay, well, I'm doing it right now on Camp Kennerk Podcast.
Well, take the mountain to Moses and let's shout from the tops.
The Camp Kennerk corporate poopy head list.
Yes,
Okay, because just like in life, you're judged at how corporations are judged at how they correct their mistakes.
exactly.
That's that's all it is. If I went to the front desk and they say, okay, you're leaving early, okay, no problem, because I'm the customer and they are Hilton Inn, and said, okay, here's the bill. It's all done. I shouldn't have to go through two other entities to solve the Hilton Inn problem.
That's right.
You know, and so, there you go. And so now, and there I am ranting, and this is the first of the year. And so we're creating this list, and we have a fine dining list. We have a list of things that Perry O is cooking up. We have our She's Really Cute list. We also have the $1 Million Idea website list. We're good at making these lists. And we have with 33,000 listeners and growing, we have influence.
Major influence because this is throughout the galaxy. This isn't just in a little zip code area. This is a major impact opportunity.
Do you think we go to Oklahoma?
You know, I, I don't know. It depends. Depends on where the wind's blowing. I think if it comes out of the south north or south northeast west, it does. But that doesn't happen very often. The wind doesn't normally blow in three directions at the same time.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, let's hopefully we have listeners in Oklahoma. Now we know it's up in Indiana. We know it goes out to El Paso, so we're covered there. And I
Yes.
got family in Canada that's still laughing at us. You know. So, okay. All right. Well, you got into this family. What'd you expect? Duh. All right. But how about something positive? Okay, something positive. A pal of mine's in the hospital up in Round Rock at the Baylor Scott and White Hospital. It's a big
Mhm.
complex. Buildings over here, operations over here, see, up here. So now, in my mind, every time I've gone to a hospital, they do charge for parking. They always charge for parking at the hospitals. It's how they make their money. So in my mind, I said, okay, I'm going to go visit my buddy. It's okay. I'm going up there, visit my buddy in the hospital at Baylor Scott and White. Okay, so 20 miles up the road, up Mopac or I-35 to Round Rock. So I pull in and I'm waiting for the gate to show up. I'm looking there, employee parking over there, visitor parking. I'm looking. It's packed. I'm wandering around, but I don't see the gate. You push the button to get the ticket. I keep wandering around. I said, I wonder if I'm in the right area. This is a complex. You get, and I'm wandering around and I finally see a parking spot and I pull into it and I go on up to the front door and there's two guys standing there. And I said, I didn't see any gate to pay for the parking. And the guy says, you don't have to pay here at Baylor Scott and White. And next time you come back, we have complimentary valet parking.
Wow. Now that's a first class operation.
That is a first class operation. So here we have Hilton and Expedia and the parking people on the Camp Kennerk Podcast poopy head list, corporate poopy head list. And now we've got the Baylor Scott and White Hospital on the gold star. They get a gold star.
Yes, I've go to Baylor Scott and White a few times here in the neighborhood, and it's a first class operation. From the moment you, like you say, you pull in, you go in there, everybody's knowledgeable, about where you need to go or how you need to get there, and it's very impressive. I wish more companies, not just in the hospital medical field, but overall, take some lessons on how they run their operation.
When the first at the front door is the parking. Where do you park? Well, if you got to pay $5 to park, and I'm only going to be here for an hour and a half, I feel like you're ripping me off, and you can't from the truck, you can't reach down in to get the ticket, or push the buttons to get out. I got to open the door, that sort of stuff. And then the two guys that the valet parking, they were just funny as can be because they were sports fans and they were in the middle of a conversation. So first class operation, no parking, Baylor, Scott and White. So they get a gold star from the Camp Kennerk podcast.
All right, we'll put that on our list and we'll make sure there's neon lights surrounding it saying the original, the first, gold star recipient from the Camp Kennerk podcast. Often
Well,
imitated, never duplicated.
never duplicated, and we appreciate their excellent service, and they're taking care of my buddy. I'm going to go back on Friday to check in on him. He's in rough shape, but I got a message from his sister today that he's out of bed and he's sitting up and he's taking walks. So whatever Baylor Scott and White's magic is, it's working.
No, good for them. Glad to hear your buddy's on the mend.
Right. Now, TK, I showed you my Old Spice, old school. I showed you Perry's pickles here,
Yes.
Perry's pickles, and we talked about the games coming up, and I told you about my video down to Sinton, Texas. That's pretty much it for today. We just have to find out where Holly Rowe is, what game she's doing on. Maybe she's doing both Thursday and Friday. They're flying her back and forth.
Well,
You know,
I reached out to her. I wrote her a very charming letter the
yeah, I
other
read
day.
it. Yes, yes.
Very, very thoughtful, gave a lot of thought and talked to her about the fan club, and I'm still waiting to hear back from her.
Okay, so her people,
Mhm.
her buffers, will hopefully watch this and we'll get a message to her. But it's Holly, Holly, Holly. TK, that's all I've got for today. New year is here. New kicks, new tricks in 26. Go Cowboys.
Aaron Go Bra.